So what about when your job is to create controversy and discord? Because that's what YouTube is. That's what YouTube stands for, right? Is to kick that entropy dust up and to create controversy. Even if the model was something that was beneficent in the early projections, which we know it's not, I gotta tell you, I have a lot more experience in that field than I talk about, because people really weren't interested in hearing what I had to say. And even more so, I'm not afraid of the judgments because I want people to use their discernment, right? And again, I bring up Kevin with Eek Acres, but there's another channel called Be Nice to People, I think is what he calls it. I'll put up another, on the community post, I'll put up another, because he did put something out the other day that was refreshing. But if you want to see somebody who really is battling cancer and see all the crap that he's been going through and the turmoil, it was very similar. That's why I try not to cast stones at Kevin. Personally, I think that he is ill, but I can't say that with certainty. And I don't put down or look down on the rest of you who don't believe it. There's people who posted comments under a couple of videos that I did because people are looking for the truth, and you're very hard pressed to find it, right? But I used to, with my clients, I used to say, look, do you know how difficult it is to keep an accurate food journal? I myself was trying to chart down, as I tell you to do, what did I eat yesterday, and I'm realizing I'm lying to myself. I ate this many almonds, right? And in our mind, when we only answer to ourselves, we have built-in excuses, right? But then when we have to answer to an arbitrary system, we instantly have within our genetic makeup, and maybe it's a spiritual thing, I don't know, I can't say for sure. I can tell you what I believe in, and it's based around principles. Like, I really had to get honest with myself, where it's like, no, this isn't good enough anymore. Where they're even manipulating when I say they, it's, let's just say that the consensus, the people always take the brunt of the blame, but the people are set up to do so. And we have to be so discerning these days that we don't fall into that trap ever again, and that's why we are being so hard on certain people like Kevin. But there are other people who really are suffering. And the only thing we have is our vote. That's what we're taught from an early age, right? So when we do subscribe to a channel, there's enough beneficence in people to go, it's just like when you give somebody who you have somebody who's ready to get to work, they lost their license, you're 60% sure that they're telling you the truth. You may even have some corroborating evidence, which we call it vetting these days, which is a pretty abstract term. But then you have someone else where you look at one story after the other, and it just doesn't match up, right? But I understand the early warning signs of, being sick and then going into that illness. And then finally the illness, you seem fine. And then finally you're watching somebody and they're literally at death's door. It just happens instantly, almost overnight. No more conversations, no more rational flow of conversation. The person oftentimes is essentially dead. And I don't mean that in any sort of cold way. I mean that in a way where it's very unfortunate. Even when the person's still alive, it's ill, you oftentimes are not able to have a conversation with them for several months leading up to their death. This was my uncle's right here. My son brought it over. It was like they suddenly, somebody had to be there to clear out the house. We think of our own physical form in a very hazy, abstract way as well. And we don't think this is going to be someone's problem, your body. And that's the hard facts that a lot of people are coming down to, And then the fact that everyone and their mother and their sister and their brother and their cousins and